Now, what do you think is most exciting or still misunderstood about this move towards a multimodal AI?
So that's a great question. And I've lately been doing a lot of experimentation, as you know, with voice. I think it's early in adoption in the enterprise, but there's already some enterprises that are having success with it. It was fun for me to learn that Domino's now handles 80% of their orders using voice AI. One of the hardest things that happens when you move from just text to now multimodal as input
Hmm.
is you have different sorts of contexts that aren't represented in traditional data sets or text-based data sets, like intonation, speed. Frustration isn't just expressed in the words used, but how words are said.
Hmm.
And there's still a lot of best practice that's being built now on how to take these things into consideration. Another thing that I've learned recently and come to appreciate deeply about multimodal interactive applications like voice agents is the importance of latency. And so truly, you have a lot of decisions to make as far as what level of sophistication can be done, how many tools can be made available. Agents are increasingly getting more capable, but just because we're seeing advancements in agent capability doesn't mean that they're sufficient to be handled in the amount of latency that happens in a real-time conversation. And so on
Yeah.
average, humans have a 500 millisecond latency between when I have an utterance, you process it and then respond to me. And then if it goes much longer than that, it gets awkward.
Yeah.
And so you really have to think about how do you design these at the right level and what task complexity is appropriate that can be handled within that window of latency, given the type of model you're trying to use and the price point that you have. And this whole process of where does the human work fit in around that? And that is a really new way of thinking about things. It's not just automation, it's figuring out what gets automated and then what gets escalated, and how do you hand that off to a human, and how do you plan capacity around that interaction.
That's really well said. And latency, yeah, latency is a very huge challenge. I get asked
Yeah.
a bunch of questions around latency, given my work at Telmix, and I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what we are trying to keep it as minimum as possible and as natural as possible.